Hello, welcome to this session of mindfulness-based restoration. My name is Amy Edelstein, and I'm the founder of Inner Strength Education. We bring these types of programs to teachers throughout the district. You might have seen myself or one of our instructors at any of the leadership convenings, counselor or climate coach convenings, or you might have seen us in one of the schools working with students. We primarily work with high schools and some middle schools, bringing mindfulness-based stress reduction to everyone. So this session is for you. It's to help you just chill and enjoy. You may want to turn around and apply some of these tools to your students, but the intention is really to give you some support in the middle of the day, which is always much needed. So maybe in the chat, you could let me know, what's your inner weather today? Is it fair to partially sunny? Is it stormy and cloudy? Is it a forest fire? Is it a perfect day at the beach? What's the inner weather, so I know what tools might be best. And also, if for any reason you can't hear me, I have a new mic, so just let me know if there's a problem with the audio. Okay, we've got a foggy. Foggy's an interesting one, so we'll try to work with that. Anyone else want to let me know what the state of the weather is? Okay, partially sunny with some wind, all right? Pretty, yeah. These are interesting times we're living in. The pace of schools is always hard. Whether you're a teacher, administrator, support staff, it's always hard in schools, and the pace is just relentless. Good things happen. You don't have a moment to enjoy and celebrate the one student's breakthrough, and difficult things happen, and you barely have time to think your response through before you have another group of students all needing your attention. So it's a really rewarding and fun environment, and it also takes its toll on us. I work in the schools as well, so I'm pretty familiar with what it's like. I teach students as well, bringing the mindfulness programs in, so I know what that's like. Anytime along the way that you want to ask me a question, feel free to just unmute yourself. Sometimes when I'm leading an exercise, I may not notice a virtual hand raise or a chat, so feel free to unmute yourself or put your questions in the chat is fine as well. And if any of the activities that I'm doing with you don't resonate, you can feel free to simply journal or draw. I invite you, since you've taken this time, to resist the temptation to multitask. Your emails will be there, I guarantee you, when you're done. And if you can put your phone on Do Not Disturb, so people get that nice little message if they try to text you in the middle. And just know that you have this time to breathe, this time for yourself. The other thing I'd like to find out is what your familiarity with mindfulness is. So if you could put a 1 in the chat if you've heard the word, really know what it is. 2, if you've tried some things on YouTube or on an app. And 3, if you're a regular contemplative practitioner of whatever methodology. So just a 1, 2, or 3. So also I know a little bit more about you and I can better support you. That would be great. Okay, fantastic. I started my own mindfulness practice when I was in high school, when I was a sophomore at Taylor Alderdice High School, big public high school in Pittsburgh, in 1978. So, and I have been doing this ever since. I was an instructor in a residential meditation center for 27 years and also taught around the world. And so this is what I'm most familiar with, except for the last 10 years where I have been working with the School District of Philadelphia. So any questions you have, since some of you have some familiarity and some practice, and maybe things that you've always wondered about, whether you're doing it right or whether what you're experiencing is normal. No, it was not a TM center. It was mostly sort of Vipassana-based, a real mindfulness practice-based, and philosophical-based. We had a magazine called What is Enlightenment that used to be sold at Whole Foods. So you might have seen that. And I got to study a lot of different traditions and philosophies. It wasn't centered around one single philosophy. Great. So let's start. Would you like to start with some mindfulness, with some seated practice, which I'll have to think what to, or would you like to start with some mindful movement? Because I found that sometimes doing some mindful movement at the start can really help. If you're in a place where you can stand up, that can really help. Otherwise, we can do some chair movement. So the question is, 1 for mindful movement, 2 for seated mindfulness practice. And then we're going to do some reflection and journaling. Okay, either one. Anyone else have a preference? All right. Well, I'm going to go with the movement practice. I'm just going to move where I can stand up, and because I found that this really, especially in the middle of the day, sometimes it's hard to just stop and be still. I do regular practice every morning, but sometimes in the middle of the day, it's nice to begin with some movement. So these are movements that come from the martial arts. They're really common and practical movements that martial artists use as part of their warm-up. And we're going to bring with it an awareness just of our bodies. So paying attention to sensation, paying attention to the way that the breath goes in, the way you might feel the breath in different parts of your body. And if you want to do this sitting down, parts of it you can. And if there are parts you want to skip, if you're in a place where you can't stand up, that's okay too. So let's start. This one's called Mixing the Earth and Sky, which is a really nice one. So you inhale, lifting your arms up and imagining there were strings from your hands drawing energy from the molten core of the earth all the way up. So feel that strong, activating fire from the core of the earth. Exhale and open your arms. And now imagine that you're hugging the whole of the sky, the cool of the sky, drawing it all in. And then as you exhale again, let your hands come down and just imagine, visualize that you're mixing the earth and sky, phenomenal space and strength of fire energy, and nurturing your body with that. So this is a guided visualization. There's nothing magic about it, but when we activate our imaginations, it cues our muscles, nervous system, and circulatory system to respond. So again, inhaling up, drawing the core energy of the earth, exhaling, opening your arms, getting ready to embrace the vastness of the sky. And then sending those 2 strong and vast energies down through your body, imagining that your whole body is relaxing, becoming more spacious, and becoming more strong. We'll do 2 more, inhaling up, exhaling, opening your arms, inhaling, embracing the sky, and exhaling, sending that energy through our bodies, imagining our bodies relaxing, gaining space, gaining strength. Inhaling, opening, embracing the vastness of the clouds and the sun and the planets and all the stars, and letting that float down. Then you can just rest there and just take an internal scan of your body and notice, are you standing up straighter? There might be a little more space between the vertebrae of your neck. So important when we work on our computers all the time. This next movement is called stroking the waterfall. So imagine you're in some beautiful natural space with a waterfall flowing down a mountain, and you're standing in front and you're just stroking the mist of the waterfall with the back of your hands. So stroking that mist, and then when you get to the top, feeling that mist on the palms of your hands. Inhaling up. And again, imagine that little mist just kissing the backs of your hands and stroking down. And inhaling up. And exhaling down. And as you do this, imagine that all those soft droplets are just canceling out all of the static electricity that we feel when our nerves are jangled and we're rushing from place to place. Just imagine your nerves just smoothing all the excess static, just calming down, and you can rest your hands at the bottom. The next exercise is called sliding over the rainbow. And again, we're allowing the energy of the sky, of visualizing that, holding that in our arms, and just letting everything balance. So it's a little bit like pouring water from one carafe to another. If you've ever seen pictures of people mixing, or in bars, they mix drinks. They mix everything by pouring it back and forth, or in other cultures, they do that with coffee or tea and just pour it back and forth to make the perfect blend. So inhaling up, opening your arms. Now imagine there's a rainbow and you're holding each end of the rainbow in your hands. And the rainbow's like a slinky. You're going to take one hand and pour into the other. Pour that rainbow into the other. Inhaling back. Exhaling. And then inhale and pour into the other hand, imagining the colors of the rainbow and opening. And again, in the martial arts theory, what you're doing here is you're embracing the vastness of the universal energy of the sky, and you're mixing it with your own energy. Again, visualizing, imagining that you're building strength and spaciousness, flexibility, soft endurance. We're so used to tensing ourselves to try to muscle through. And this is the opposite of that. It's feeling like we have more than sufficient energy, actually excess and abundant energy just coursing through us. So we have plenty for what's needed, and you can let your arms float down. And again, take a scan of your body, noticing just how you might feel. And we have 2 more short practices, short exercises. This one is called dangling ropes. So just let your knees bend and let your hands be heavy, imagining they're like those really thick ropes on the docks that tie big ships to anchor. And when we do this, when we bounce like this, what we're doing is we're stretching the myofascial tissue. Myofascial tissue is the tissue that surrounds all of our organs, keeping them in place. So our whole body, actually inside, everything is in its own little packing sack that keeps it all in place. And the myofascial tissue, when we get dehydrated, when we're stressed, when we don't sleep enough, gets a little bit dehydrated or desiccated, and it gets a little tight. And when it gets a little tight, then the way our cells process nutrients is absorbing in and excreting what's no longer needed, the toxins. So when we stretch our myofascial tissue, what it allows for permeability in the myofascial tissue for better absorption of nutrients, better secretion of waste and toxins. So this is really good. Martial artists can do this for 20 minutes at a time, but we're not going to do that. We'll just do it for a few more seconds. And then when we come to rest, we'll do our final activity, which is called ringing the bell, which is a simple spinal twist. And it's a spinal twist with a little tap on the side, both in front and behind. So behind, you're giving your kidneys just a gentle touch, waking them up. Our organs do well when we gently stimulate them. So, and this is also really good if we've been sitting at our desks all day, not moving our spines, not walking around. It brings more plumpness into the discs that separate our vertebrae. And when we have more plumpness in our discs, we have less back pain, and we just feel more fluidity in our body, less stiff and more able. So one more to each side. Then you can shake your hands down and you can sit down, and I'll sit down. I'll just take my camera off so you don't have to get seasick as I cross the room. Super. So, great. Now that we've woken up the body a little bit and allowed ourselves to rejuvenate, so just these last few minutes of bringing some motion and activity can really allow us to oxygenate both our bodies and our brains. And if you feel the need for one more stretch, you can do just a little twist in your chair, or some shoulder rolls or neck rolls, and just make sure that you tend to your own needs. So part of mindfulness is just bringing our sense of awareness to our actual experience. So often the experience we're having is more in our heads, what we think we should be feeling rather than what we're actually experiencing, or a strong thought or emotion that we might be experiencing without noticing how it's landing in our bodies. So take the next couple moments, and if you have a piece of paper and a pen, sometimes longhand writing is really good. I know it's becoming a forgotten art, but at least we still know how to do it. And just write a little stream of consciousness of what you're noticing, what thoughts are crossing your mind, what you're feeling in your body, what emotions are there. It's part of really tending to our experience. We'll just go for a couple of minutes. Grab my own as well. it's not only to bring awareness to it, it's to allow for release. So once you name it, as neuropsychologist Dan Siegel says, you tame it. So once you recognize what's going on, it loosens it up a little, and you can allow for release. Or if it's something that needs tending to, you can choose to do that at another time. You might find your breathing relaxing as you're making some notes. Really just letting your own sense of yourself to come out on the page, to untie any knots, to smooth out any static. Find your writing turning into a poem, a haiku, even a story. Letting yourself be free with your own exploration and inner expression. And you can bring your attention back. What I'd like to do is do some mindful breathing that allows us also to just release. So there will be some cues to allow yourself to release as well. So lightly focused on the breath, not entirely focused to the breath. What we're simply going to do is, I'll cue you through it, is noticing the breath as it goes into the body and out of the body, and also noticing different sensations in our body that I'll cue you to. What we want to do with the mindful breathing is it helps the amygdala calm down. It helps our stress responses to settle down a little bit. And it supports the oxygenation of our prefrontal cortex. So we tend to feel sometimes a little spacey afterwards, but then once we start moving around our day, oftentimes we find there's a little bit more calm, a little bit more clarity, a little less fog that some of you described in terms of your inner weather, and that there's a little clearing in the storms. So you can begin by just noticing your weight on the chair, feeling that sense that gravity is pulling you down. You don't have to hold yourself up anymore. And yet, the perfection of how evolution designed the human spine, your back is rising up tall. That little curvature in the spine allows us to stand tall as gravity hugs us to the earth. notice that your head is just balanced at the top of your neck. And imagine breathing in a little bit of air into in between the tiny vertebrae of your neck, letting your neck lengthen, letting your head be light. Notice what your hands are touching, whether it's warm or cool, soft or smooth. Notice the different parts of your hand. There may be pressure or weight, or different parts of your fingers are resting on something. Notice the parts of your hands that are light and airy, open to the room around you. It can help if you're in a place where it's comfortable to close your eyes, to close your eyes. It can cue the face and the eye muscles to soften and relax. Or just rest your eyes softly on a beautiful color or shape in the room. Now turn your attention to the breath. Letting your breath be natural. It's often much slower and shallower than we imagine, with a lot of space between the inhalation and the exhalation. Simply allow your breath to be exactly as it is. And if you'd like to now release your attention on the breath, you can do that. Enjoying the stillness, enjoying being centered in yourself. Feeling the warmth of your own heart and the spaciousness of your awareness. That's big enough to contain everything on your mind. Feel that there's no limit or boundary to your own awareness, and that gives you space to navigate all the challenges and needs and demands in our busy days. Now, as we bring this practice to a close, just send yourself and those you care about good wishes, wishes for ease and peace, safety and joy. And we can close the practice. And we've come to time. So thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you, everything you do, whatever your role is in our big school district. Everyone's needed. Everyone is such an important part of raising, uplifting the next generation and each other through it. So I appreciate you and thank you. And if there's any questions that you have, you can always find me at innerstrengtheducation.org and just leave me a message through the website because I get everything. All right, I wish you a good rest of your day. Take care.